إن الحمد لله نعمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على دين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الحكيم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم شرا فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. All praise up to the end of time belongs to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu Jalla. He is the ever living, the eternally besotten of all. We thank him for the opportunity he has given us, making us Muslims. Were it not for his mercy, it would have been practically impossible for us to be one. A dá ọpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run. Alhamdulillahi. Ọba wo ni ẹni tó wù ú ní òjò jẹ́ Mùsùlùmí. Ẹni tí ò bá wù ú kò tẹ̀ ní jó tọ́ sí. Pé ó ṣe àwa ní Mùsùlùmí akírun. Ọlọ́run a dúpẹ́. Àìsàn tí í ṣẹ̀dá tá a fi ní Islam ló kù tá a ní ṣe mọ́. Ọlọ́run dákun má jò tọ́ sí wa. In line with the mood of the moment, of course, we are no longer expecting by the end of today, Ramadan will have taken 1/6 of Ramadan. And what is that telling us? That whatever is having a beginning will surely come to an end. And that Ramadan is already telling you, I've started packing my baggage. Gbogbo tó bá níbẹ̀rẹ̀ yóò máa lópin ni o. Ẹ má wàá jẹ́ kí àkàntì kó kó bá wa. Therefore, do not allow procrastination to deny you the opportunity and largesse of the month of Ramadan. You see, because when the first day came, inshallah, I'm going to finish the Quran. The second day, say, after all, today is the second. The third, say, well, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow may never end up till the end of time. Therefore, you just say that just as we welcome Ramadan, and we said, Marhaba Bika, very soon we'll start to say, Ma Salama Ya Ramadan. Kí wá láwẹ̀ jẹ́? Ọlọ́run jẹ́ á mọ̀ pé nígbà náà inú tá à ń ṣe inú àwẹ̀ onípa à ń ṣọdún pé Ọlọ́run ọba sọ Al-Qur'an al-Karim kalẹ̀ fún wa. That one of the things in Ramadan is the fact that Ramadan is the festival for the celebration of the revelation of the glorious Quran. And therefore, we should drink very well, drink deep into our Quran al-Karim. Read the glorious Quran. Listen to Tafsir al-Quran. Read the meaning of the Quran. Make the best uses of it. Because Shahru Ramadan, alladhi unzila fi il-Quran. And after reading it, Hudalin Nasi is meant to be guidance. Wabayinati minal huda. And clear proof, clear evidence of guidance from Allah Azza wa Jal, and also a criterion between right and wrong. So, ẹ jẹ́ ká Quran, ẹ jẹ́ lo Quran, Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ aṣoríire, àní ṣorí ibú. Nínú ọdún Al-Quran tí à ń ṣe tí jẹ́ Ramadan, ó wá yẹ kó lapa rere lára wa ni. Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ ó lapa búburú lára wa. And that's why I want to look at some of the things that we ought to have been doing in Ramadan, because so many things have been said about it, but maybe we should just remind ourselves once again that in the case of Ramadan fast, you must have the intention for it. If there is no intention for it, of course you do not have the fast, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was reported to have said, La siyama liman lam yafrid'u min al-layli. If you do not have the intention to fast during the night, then you don't have that day's fast. But we do not mean nawaitu. There is no single nawaitu that you can trace to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam during Ramadan. The fact that you know you are in the month of Ramadan, and by the time you even stand for the sahur, then you know you are already there. Because when the Prophet was asked about taqwa, he said, Taqwa ahuna. So it's not nawaitu, farda, saumu, tisa, wa, ishrun. That one, there is no evidence that the Prophet did any of those nawaitu. Ìtànsọ náà ni pé àwẹ̀ Ramadan èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ láníyàn pé ń gba àwẹ̀. Téèyàn ò bá ní àníyàn pé máa gba àwẹ̀ kò ní. Àmáníyàn tá à ń sọ kọ́ ni nawaitu. Oríṣiríṣi àwọn nawaitu ló pọ̀ tó jẹ́ pé àárín nawaitu ẹyọ kan tá a lè sọ pé aṣáájú ẹ̀dá náà Muhammad òun ló ṣe. Àmọ́ pé èèyàn ti mọ̀ pé a ti wà ní oṣù Ramadan, ó dẹ̀ ti wà lọ́kàn ìpẹ́tọ̀ yín gba àwẹ̀ fọ́lọ́run. Alhamdulilayi, torí gbà tí ànábì náà ń sọ̀rọ̀, ó ní àtàkùá àhùnà, ìbẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run nínú ọkàn àyà wa òun ló wà. Eléyìí ni àkọ́kọ́ tí a fẹ́ pé àkíyèsí wa sí, ká má bàa gbàgbé pé ọ̀ranyàn ni. What therefore are the benefits? Before I go to the benefit, we know, of course, our own fasting is from dawn to dusk. From dawn to dusk, because Allah mentioned that in chapter 2, verse 287. وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ ثُمَّ أَتِمُّوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. So the fasting in Islam is throughout the daytime, from dawn to sunset. Eléyìí ni ká mọ̀. Àmọ́ dawn to sunset yìí náà, we know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged us to hasten to break our fast, and that for as long as we hasten to break our fast, we'll be on the right track. And he also enjoined on us to delay the sahur, so that towards the end of the night, that is when you take the sahur, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reported to have said, "Tasaharu fa inna fi suhuri baraka." Ẹ máa jẹ sààrì, torí jíjẹ sààrì ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àlùbáríkà àtòrè àti ìbùkún ní bẹ́ẹ̀nbẹ́. Ọlọ́run dákun jẹ́ ó jẹ́ tiwa. Between the time when you now stop your sahur and subuhi, we then go to the hadith of Sayyid bin Thabit radiyallahu anhu, who said, we normally sit to take sahur with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then we just stand up from there and go to pray our salatul fajr. Then they ask him, what is the time difference between the time when you stood after sahur and the time when you pray salatul fajr? He said, what would be enough for you to recite 50 verses of the glorious Quran? so, of course, it's not talking of long verses. It's talking of short verses. And that is why at a period like this, when the Al-Fajr will appear at around, say, 5:38, 5:39, by the time it's 5:30, 5:33 thereabout, you should have been saying Subhana Rabbika for the Sahur. However, there's also another hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when they complained to the Prophet, and the Prophet said, continue to take Sahur if Bilal make the call to prayer. But if the blind man, Abdullah bin Maktoum, the blind man, Abdullah bin Maktoum, if he makes the call to prayer, stop Sahur. And that is why you see people who will eat until when the call to prayer is made. But to be on the safer side, I think we should go by the first hadith of Said bin Thabit, which is what will allow you about 50 verses of the glorious Quran between the time you stop Sahur and the time when you say your prayer. May Almighty Allah accept it as ibadah. Eléyìí tá we náà ni pé kájẹ sàárì súnà tànà Muhammad ni kò sí tí ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ wípé ẹni tí ò jẹ sàárì kò láwẹ̀ irọ́ ní ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ aṣáájú ẹ̀dọ́ òwí bẹ́ẹ̀ súnà tànà Muhammad ni. Àmọ́ ẹni tó fẹ́ràn ànábì ó tẹ̀lé súnà ànábì kódà bó jẹ́ kéèyàn mu omi gẹ̀ẹ́kan omi gẹ̀ẹ́kan tó jí tó mu náà ọ̀jẹ̀ sàárì nu torí ànábì ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àlùbáríkà níbẹ̀ nu kí ajẹ sàárì. Ìgbà wo ni ká wá dá sàárì dúró? Amadisi Zaid bin Thabit tó ní gẹ́gẹ́ bí òdiwọ̀n téèyàn ó fi ka 50 àyà nínú Al-Qur'an al-Karim, àwa ni pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí àsìkò tá a wà ń sìn tó jẹ́ pé àlùfájàrí ó yọ bí aago 6 ó kù 20 ìṣẹ́jú wípé tó bá fi ń di nǹkan bí aago 5 ààbọ̀ ó yẹ kéèyàn ti máa ṣe Subhana Rabbika ọlọ́mọṣàgbà lẹ́sìn fún wa. Why is Ramadan important? There are so many things said about the month of about fasting and about the month of Ramadan. But one thing that we always avoid or we do not pay attention to, the Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said, "Man sama Ramadan imanan wa tisaban, gufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbihi." Aṣáájú ẹ̀dá ní ẹni tí ó bá gba àwẹ̀ lórí ìgbàgbọ́ òdodo yìí ni ó jìnnà sọ́rọ̀ wa ìmánàn ló jìnnà sọ́rọ̀ wa ìmánàn ló yẹ ká rí pa mójútó. After all, the food that we are not eating, Allah is not going to send anybody to pick it up. Rather, we should pay attention to the iman with which we carry it out. And that is why Allah Azza wa Jal in another hadith of the Prophet Muhammad said, "Lekulli amalin kafara." Everything has its own compensation. Wa sawmu li wa ana ajzihi bihi. Wa ana ajzi bihi. That for every other thing, there are compensation and reward for it. But when it comes to fasting, it is for me, and I'm the one that will reward it. Therefore, let us pay attention to the imanen. That is where I've gone. Ẹ jẹ́ á rí i pé ìgbàgbọ́ tá a fi gba àwẹ̀ yìí torí èèyàn méjì lè jọ gba àwẹ̀ kí ládàá wọn yàtọ̀tọ̀ o. Ẹni tó gbà nítorí Ọlọ́run yóò gba ládàá, ẹni tó gbà nítorí nǹkan míì náà yóò gba ládàá wọn sì yàtọ̀ síra wọn. And therefore, Allah Azza wa Jalla has assured here that He knows that those who fasting is for Him and is going to reward us differently. So let us make haste in fasting based on faith. Man sama Ramadan imanan wa tisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi. That is what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said. Of course, the concluding part of the other hadith is what hulufu fami sahimin atiyab indallahi min rihil misk. That the odor that is coming out from the mouth of a fasting person is better than the smell of al-misk, but we should not misconstrue that to say during the day of Ramadan, then you don't brush your teeth, or you don't use chewing stick. I think appropriately said, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used siwak during Ramadan. So there is nothing wrong at all to use siwak or to even use ordinary brush without the paste. I don't have evidence for paste during Ramadan, during the day of Ramadan. And why are we saying this? Nínú àwẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn bá ṣe Allahu Akbar lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ yín, tó bá tí sí kan gbòòlà tó bá gbà báyìí, olùyọ́fẹ́ lè fìrún lẹ̀ yóò sì máa sá lọ. Ṣé èyí ń kọ́ ṣáájú ẹ̀dá sọ ń bíbá ẹ̀kọ́ nìyẹn o? Níta ànábì ń sọ ni wípé lọ́jọ́ àgbéǹde o, pé gbogbo ẹni tó gbà àwẹ̀ o, lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run pé òórùn tó jáde lẹ́nu aláwẹ̀ ó dáa ju òórùn àlùmísìkí lọ. And that is why I'm again going to another hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when the first night of Ramadan comes, the shayateen and mischievous jinns are chained up, and the gate of fire are closed, and none of its gates are opened. The gate of paradise are opened, and none of it are closed. Therefore, báwo la ṣe wá ní ṣoríire? Àwọn oníṣòrí ibú oríire láṣẹ. Nígbà tí wọ́n ti tilẹ̀kùn lé iná tí wọ́n ti sílẹ̀kùn àlìjánnà, lẹ́yìn ó fi jẹ́ pé ńjọ́ kan ṣáájú ẹ̀dá ń gun mímbàrí lọ. Ànábì ṣe àmì, ànábì tún ṣe àmì, ànábì tún ṣe àmì, wọ́n á bèèrè ẹ̀pẹ́. Àmì wo ló ń ṣe? Wà ànábì eléyìí tó ṣe òdòrò eléyìí wò rí. Ó ní Jibril lọ́wọ́ bá bí ṣe ń gun mímbàrí. Ló ní ẹni táwọn òbí ẹ̀ bá dàgbà sí lọ́wọ́ tí wọn ò tara wọn rà àlìjánnà, kò ní wọn wípé dìgún nù náà ní kọ́lọ́wọ́n bójú wọn sí òun sì lámì. Wípé ẹni tó bá jẹ́ pé Ramadan bá láyé, tí Ramadan bá láyé, tí Laylatul Qadri bá láyé, tí ò wá tara Laylatul Qadri ṣoríire, wípé dìgún náà ní kọ́lọ́wọ́n jẹ́ kó jù sí ànábì sì ni mo ṣàmì. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta àmì tóun ṣe ni pé ẹni tó gbọ́ tí wọ́n dákọ̀ àná Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tí o ṣe sallallahu alayhi wa sallam jìgún náà ni kò jù sí mo sì ṣàmì. That we should know the import of Ramadan, that the Prophet once was climbing the minbar and then Jibril made prayer, and he also told the Prophet to say Amen, and the Prophet did. Those who were there among the companions asked the Prophet, you did Amen 3 times. Said the first one, if you have aged parents, and then you do not through them attain Al-Jannah, may you go into the deeper part of the fire. And Jibril said, say Amen, and I said Amen. The second one is somebody who witnessed Ramadan, who witnessed Laylatul Qadr, and did not profit by the meeting with Laylatul Qadr, did not gain Al-Jannah through the meeting with Laylatul Qadr, should be thrown into deeper part of the fire. Jibril said, I say Amen, and I said Amen. And the third one is somebody who had my name mentioned, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and did not say the as-salatu for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then he said, may be thrown into deeper part of the fire. And he said, I say Amen, and I said Amen. What I'm trying to bring out is, this is Ramadan. We should get the best out of it. Not only that, for it to be easier for us. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla then said, now choose a caller, and that caller, a munadi, who will call, Ya Bagi al-Air, Akbil, wa Ya Bagi Ashar, Aksir. All those who want to attain goodness, come forward. This is the period of largesse. This is the period of benefit. Come forward and benefit from it. But those who want to fail, this is not period of failure. Stop it. And that is done every night. Nígbà tá a wá rẹ́ni tí ń pè wá pa wá ṣoríire, tọ́lọ̀ ti yan màláíkà tí ó pè wá ká ṣoríire. Ọlọ́mọdé àwọn ṣorí ibú. Àrántí Ramadan tí ó mú lọ́wọ́ fún wa nìyẹn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà la ṣáájú ẹ̀dá àná Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ló ní man qama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min zambi. I'll continue from there. alhamdulillah, 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 rabbil alamin. Aṣáájú ẹ̀dá ànábì ní ẹni tí ó bá dúró pẹ̀lú gbàgbọ́ lóru Ramadan pẹ̀lú gbàgbọ́ ìmánán wahtisaban pẹ̀lú ìrànkànsí pé Ọlọ́run ọbọ̀ san òun lẹ́san gúfìrà láhù máa tàkà dàmọ́ mìzẹ̀mbí Ọlọ́run forí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ jì Ọlọ́run ṣáà forí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbogbo wa jì wá. I've actually called attention to this particular one because the Prophet said whoever stands in Ramadan, in the night of Ramadan, imanan with faith and expectation of reward compensation from Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah will forgive all the sins. Therefore, Taraweeh, of course, it was never called Taraweeh during the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was after the Prophet that the name Taraweeh emerged. However, it has been accepted. Qiyamul Layl or Tahajjud, whichever one, during the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Standing during those nights is not compulsory. But if we must do it, we must do it with all necessary control. Because there are the kind of Taraweeh that we witness in some places where they just say, Wala bolin amin yasin Allahu Akbar. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Tahe Allahu Akbar. Is that? It's not compulsory. And we should pay attention to this. Hadith. Come on, Ramadan. Imanan, wahtisaban. Tọ́nà gbogbo àwọn tẹ́ ń pè ní má dúró sí gbá. Bójá méjì ló bá yàn, ó bá mu. Bójá mẹ́rin, ó bá mu. Bójá mẹ́fà, ó bá mu. Bójá mẹ́jọ, ó bá mu. Ànábì mẹ́jọ lànábì kí mẹ́ta dẹ̀ kún ó dẹ́ mọ́kànlá. That if you are just you want to do those two. Concentrate and with the best of Iman. If it is 4 rakah, pray your 4 rakah with the best of Iman. If it is 6, actually the Prophet prayed 8. And then they completed it with witri making 11. Of course, when Umar radiallahu anhu saw them, everybody reciting various things, and Umar said, look, line behind Qurayb, the best of the reciters. Umar did not join the congregational Taraweeh, but he told them to file behind Qurayb. And then that was how it became a congregational thing, because the Prophet led it for 2 nights. And for the 3rd night, the Prophet did not come out. And when they asked him later, he said, I don't want it to be an obligation on you. So, and that is why, for those of us who have had the opportunity of performing Umrah, especially in the last 10, you know in Saudi then, I don't know now, they pray 20. The Taraweeh is 20. And then they will do Tahajjud 10. And then they add the witri. But you will see people when they finish 8, they just pack some will just pack their praying rug. They are going. When they finish 10, some will just carry their rug. They are going. And there are people that have finished the 20. See, because we are saying this, that Ramadan is not a month of jest. It is the best that Allah has ever given to any among human race. And we should therefore emulate and do the right thing. Man kama Ramadan, imanan wahtisaban, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min zambi. That is what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. And so that I complete that, of course, it was also during the time of Umar that it got to 20, witri 23. But Imam Malik met the people in Medina. There are so many stories behind that, because they go into healthy competition. They saw that those in Mecca said, okay, what can we do now after increasing it to 20? After each 4, we go to do tawaf. After each 4, we go to do tawaf. After each 4, okay, those in Medina said, but we cannot tawaf. There's no Kaaba to tawaf here. After each 4, let us add another 4. And they therefore are 36. And the witri making 39. And that is why if you see in Muwatta of Imam Malik, you see 39. I'm only saying, even if you are going to do 2, do it well. If you are going to do 10, do it well. If you are going to pray 20, pray it well. Of course, I'm not sure around this area we can do 39. If you want to do 39 also, do it well. It is a jest for you to say, Yasin, Allahu Akbar. Look, it's not compulsory. But Makama, and don't forget that on the day of judgment, Al-Quran al-Karim recited in the month of Ramadan, we stand before Allah. That Ya Allah, when he ate to his fill, he doesn't remember you. But when he was hungry during the daytime of fasting, at night again he stood and was reciting me profusely. Let me intercede on his behalf. Let me take him to Al-Jannah. And Allah will say, for your sake, Siyam, for your sake, Al-Quran al-Karim, take them to Al-Jannah. May Allah count us among those that Al-Quran and fasting will take to Al-Jannah. But do it well. May Allah accept it as ibadah on our part. At a time like this, in conclusion, the Prophet was described as being ajwad. Most generous in Ramadan. Ajwad. The Prophet was generous at other months, but most generous in Ramadan when he also recited the Quran to Jibril. Ìlú lè máa ń wọ̀nyàn ọlọ́mọdé ó lè mọ́ wa. Ẹ dákun. Ẹ ṣe ìtọrẹ àánú débi tọ́lọ́run bá kẹ́yìn dé. Èyí sì bọ́ lọ́run ṣòwò kó pàdánù. Ẹ má ṣì mí gbọ́ o. There is what you call joint iftar. That the rich are inviting the rich people. That the elite are inviting one another. That is not the one I'm talking about. Oh. Because both of you have more than enough. But there are people who doesn't have. Those are the people that you should extend it to. And that is what some of us have witnessed in the Haram, in Mecca and in Medina. They come to beg you. To beg you to come and break fast with them. And no name is written on it. To say it is from one Baba Dini. No. They will even be begging you to come and break. But the times are hard. Please take care of the poor. May Allah accept it as ibadah on our part. And on the last note, the Prophet said, the prayer said at the time of breaking fast, Allah will not return it. May Almighty Allah accept our prayer. Ẹ jẹ́ á rí i wípé èyí tá a fi rojọ́ pé àwẹ̀ igbó mi lé ní o sípò tí gbóhùn ti lọ ná àdúrà ló yẹ kéèyàn ṣe nígbà tá àwẹ̀ ń parí lọ lẹ́ẹ̀fi ráwọn èèyàn níbi tí wọ́n mọ̀ tún mẹ́ tó bá kú bí ìṣẹ́jú méjì mẹ́ta táwẹ̀ ó tán ẹ̀rí tí wọ́n nawọ́ tó mi ń bọ́ lójú wọn ọlọ́mọṣá gbàdúrà gbogbo wa o. And Allah has promised us, wàzásá alákàìbádé àní fàáìní kọ̀rí òjìbù dáwàtà dáì ìwádàání fàlì ẹsẹ̀ jíbùlì wàlí òmìnú bíi làálàhùn yẹtùdù. Ọlọ́run má ṣe lè láṣẹ mọ́ fún wa. Ọlọ́run má ṣe lè láṣẹ mọ́ fún wa. Ọlọ́run kó jẹ́ aṣọ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ Ramadan láyé kó wá gbà á lẹ́sìn fún wa. Ọlá la ilaha illallah. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Those of our brothers and sisters in Palestine who are still being killed like chicken. Ya Allah, you are the one that could come to their favor, to their assistance. May you assist them. May you give them, grant them final independence that will be to the, what you call it, of all of us. Ya Allah, munzil al-qulub, you are munzil al-kitab, wa ya mujri al-zahab, wa ya azim al-azab, hazimhum, wanzurhum, ala al-yahud, wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad, wa ala alihi, wa sahbihi, wa sallim. Gbogbo àwọn tó yẹ pé nira ló bá dé mọ́ṣáláṣí lé ní Ọlọ́run dákun wọn lọ́ba tí yọ nira kúrò mọ́ṣá bá yọ kúrò. Gbogbo àwọn tó jẹ́ pé ìdẹ̀kùn labádé ìbàṣà lékún ìdẹ̀kùn fún wa Ọlọ́run dún gbogbo wa nú ni Ọlọ́run mọ́ bà wá nú jẹ́. Àwẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ jẹ́ àgbà káfíṣe oríire ni má jẹ́ orí ibú bí ó jẹ́ tiwa. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Akimis salat.